So the second half of 2021 was massive. A lot happened. There was a lot of sanding and buffing, and I'm not going to show you heaps and heaps of that, but I'll show you some of it. And as always, things don't always go to plan, and the boot lid happened to be one of those things that didn't go to plan. I stuffed it up, put some big scratches in it, and didn't matter what I'd done, I couldn't get them out without going through the paint. So it was back and repainted that. And I think the nose cone I repainted the front of that because I'd done something similar. Nearly put the drill bit through the left-hand front guard. I think I mentioned that before. And it's just little things that happen that, you know, cause more time. But we finally started getting into sanding and buffing the whole car, and I realised it's a lot of work to get it the way you want it, but eventually you do get there. Eventually. With the boot lid, I started off on 600 grit, and it was just too aggressive and caused scratches that I just couldn't remove without going through the paint. And so after repainting again, I started off with 800 grit, and you know, moving my way through to 3000 grit and so forth. And I used that dough, end up hitting it with a Rupel's cutting compound and buffing compound that breaks down into a polish as you get further into the buffing of it. It was really, really good. I did have another brand, I can't think what it was, and it was bloody expensive, and it didn't work as well. And the pads that you get for that Rupel's as well, and I used a DA buffer, and but every time you looked up, there was another panel, and another panel, and another panel, and I thought, you just don't feel like you're getting to the end of that sort of thing. And you know, I watched car shows and they show you, oh, it took us 20 hours to do wet colour sand and buff this bonnet, and I thought, yeah, sure. 2 guys, 20 hours to buff that. But I can now see that I put in 4 hours and hardly touched that boot lid, so 20 hours for a massive Lincoln bonnet, yeah, I can see that happening. So we only got the nose cone to finish, and the bonnet obviously. But yeah, been inside buffing, pretty happy with it. As I say, it's a shed paint job, so it's not a $15,000 paint job or $20,000 paint job. So I'm pretty happy. It's got a few faults and marks in it, but yeah, it's getting there. Just wish the camera would show its true colour, because it doesn't look anything like it does on the camera. But it was all the car had been done now except for the nose cone, so we finished off the nose cone, buffed that, polished it, and put it onto the car and put it in its correct place. Then it was on to a lot of the small stuff, started doing a bit of trim work and things like that. But one of the things I did forget was how many times I'd actually cleaned this shed. I think I've worn out 7 brooms, 3 dustpans and a vacuum cleaner. But if you do notice, that list hadn't gotten much smaller at this stage. While I'm trying to get the Monaro finished, I've actually been building a Mustang for a mate as well, and I might ask him if he'll mind if I do a bit of a story on that as well. But anyway, back to the Monaro. Now that most everything was polished and it was ready to start putting some smaller stuff on and make it look a bit pretty. So I cleaned up all the rear blinkers and redone all the wiring and set them all up, painted all the brackets for the rear bumper. And I actually ended up buying some rare spares aftermarket bumpers, because if you keep an eye on eBay, they put like a 20% discount on every now and then, and I managed to get them quite a few dollars off, about $80 off or something like that. It has nothing to do with rare spares, it's just to do with eBay, so it's worth cleaning. Then of course you have to make sure that the number plate looks right, so I popped the old number plate on just to see how it looked. And at this point it sort of hit me that I was going to do something I'd never done to any of my cars before, and that was put a badge back on it. But I looked around, all the Monaro badges are red and black, and the car wasn't an LS, so I didn't want to put an LS badge on it. But I had a spare LS badge, and it sort of hit me that if I cut the LS off it and make it all look right, that it will be an original Monaro badge, but not red or black. So that's what I did. I can hear the diehards being a little upset, but you'll get over it, I did. Anyway, it's called custom car building, that's what we're doing. And it wasn't too custom, it's just a little bit of a badge. But yeah, so I got that and it's looking all good the way I like it. And I bought a V8 badge from Rare Spares, and I'm going to put that on, but I don't put that on till either later this year or early in 22, I think it is. But yeah, pretty happy with the result. Anyway. I had a number of people say to me the car looked unfinished where the white met the blue. I'd sand it all back and buffed it, so you couldn't feel the joint, but I bought some flat bar, some stainless steel, some 12mm by 2mm, and I decided to make up a strip because this was a custom shape, so the original strip would have gone straight across. I got it bent it all to shape using whatever I had, which was the press. I just used the bolts on the press and jigged it up and down, bounced it until I got them the right shape, and then curved them around. So, and then in 2023 I actually polished them and actually stuck them on the car, and I have to admit they do look a lot better than just having the paint there. So I fitted the bumper bar and fixed all the lights, all the blinkers and all that sort of stuff, and put the grill in, and it was starting to look like a car now. We're almost getting ready to head towards getting it started, but first we had to get all the dash and that sort of stuff in. And I'd purchased all the gauges, a full set of GTS gauges, the 140mm ones off eBay for $150 back in about 2009. And I didn't know if they all worked or not. The speedo was a bit out, and so well, not working properly, so Otto's Instruments at Salisbury on Evans Road there sorted that out for me, and the clock as well, and he fixed both those. All the guys there fixed both those. They're all working now. Yeah, and Brendan hooked it all up, got all the lights in and everything working. We swapped the lights out for LED lights. One of the other things I did purchase was I purchased just a new fascia from Rare Spares somewhere back in 2000 and I don't know, 11 or something, whenever they first started making them anyway. And then I purchased one of these radios that look like original, but that's actually a digital radio, plus it's Bluetooth and all that sort of other stuff, charges your phone, all that sort of thing, but still looks like the old school radio. So yeah, pretty happy with all that, and it came out pretty nice. So next up was the parcel shelf, which I made out of sign panel or alu panel, which is just like a plastic with a 0.5mm aluminium skin either side of it. And I quickly made up a cardboard template and went on from there. So I marked out my template on this bit of alu panel, which is 0.5 aluminium sandwiched with plastic sandwich in the middle, aluminium both sides. And so you just get your Stanley knife, make sure you got one that's got a lockable blade because you don't want the bloody blade slipping or your hand slipping. And you just can repeatedly go over the top of the cut, like such. It's a bit hard to do when I'm trying to cut without holding the panel. And you do that about 3 or 4 times and you can actually break it off. I haven't got enough over it over there. Trying to film it and do it at the same time, just a bit hard. You can actually see that it'll start to bend, fall off. If you just roll it back and forward, it'll snap off. Now I've cut about 5mm inside the actual template line, so I'm going to put some black vinyl over it that matches the door skins. And I'll panel beat this around because you can actually curve this edge up because it's actually soft enough. So see how we go. So just by putting a cut around the back of this allows me to fold that up and get the right angle of the curve. So you can see I've done here. I'm just going to cut these corners off because otherwise I was going to take my headliner out as I'm putting it in. Once I get all that sorted, work out what the seatbelt holes are, the speaker holes, wrap it and stack it, and hope for a smile at the end. So I had to adjust the curves, so I made them too big. So I just rubbed my hand around the cardboard and obviously it was in the wrong spot. So I just remeasured it, and it's easy adjusted. It's the beauty of this product. Once it's covered, as I say, you're never going to see it. I just scribed the back of it and bent it in further and flattened it back out again. So you can see where the old measurements were, the old curves. Hopefully this will fit. Try again. So once I was happy with the shape, I just had some vinyl that I purchased and to match the door skins. I just sprayed it with some 3M contact adhesive, and to be honest with you, the 3M was very expensive, and I think some of the other contact adhesives are just as good. But anyway, covered it in the vinyl, and I was quite happy with the way it came out, and popped it in. I then fitted the speakers, and I put some spacers underneath the speakers, which then looked really horrible. I since removed those, or before I even got the car registered, I removed them. So everything was moving along quite nicely. We got so much done, I can't remember exactly what order things were done in. remember Brendan getting the lights going just to check them out, make sure they were all working and everything like that. And then we were, I had to put the badge in on the grill as well. And yeah, it was all starting to look good, and I was quite happy with the way things were starting to turn out.
This is what we got done. I'm just going to do that trim at the top. Those trim on, the door trim's on. All those trims are on. The bonnet. Grill's on, lights are in. So yeah, that's what we're up to. So today, Sunday, Brendan's going to come over and we're going to finish doing the wiring for the engine and the dash and fire this little sucker up, hopefully. So I've got to pull this all apart now and prime it. So here we go, we're going to prime it up, get some oil pressure happening. Got the primer in, the drill in. Here we go. Pressure, that's good. Just got to go for about 7 minutes apparently to get oil to come through everything. Sounds like the battery's going flat. Oh, first sign of oil, look at that. Those two here, there we go. So that's the oil up on one side and we get 60 psi, so that's all good. We'll put the cover back on, slip around, whip the other cover off just to make sure that's all working. So that's a good sign, oil both sides. Here we go, first turnover, hopefully turns motor. Once you get some fuel in there. Sounds alright, doesn't it? Yeah. Turns out no grinding, no clinking, no nothing. Pretty happy with that.
What are you doing there?
Not much, just trying to put the fuel in. Well, we got fuel. That's a good sign. Start, just a short run. First kick.
That's pretty good, wasn't it?
There's something wrong. I'm not liking this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2.5, so that was off the accelerator here.
So that was also the top.
No, there's something.
So need to adjust it here to knock it back down a bit.
That's $2,000.
Is it? It's going up. Shit in it. See what I tell you to drain it. Been on $2,000 for 20 minutes. Yeah, that's not too loud. Quite happy with that. Bit of a miss, the timing needs certain. Dash is still in pieces, but we're looking here. Beautiful. Wow, 16 years and she's running. Temp's coming up, that's alright. Oil pressure's good. Fuel gauge is not hooked in yet. Yeah, I'll get her in the back of her. Give her a bit of a... bit of black smoke, might be a bit rich. She's running.
He's running.
Not too bad at all. The fan's doing its business.
Bottles have a bit of a heat.
Didn't like the heat. Oh, I tell you, that doesn't smell good. Oh shit, what's that? We've got oil everywhere.
Oh, you got all your clamps melted off too. Ages of
We've got oil pissed out everywhere. Out the back of the gauge.
All your little clamp retainer on this side is fucking kaput.
Oh, really? Oh, that's alright. The little chrome fake ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they ain't plastic. So, first time today that it actually moved under its own steam. After checking the transmission oil 15 times, because we didn't have enough in it. Don't mind the seat, it's just sitting in there. I've got that blinker in. Okay, so it's finally getting here.
I did have a little trouble getting out of the shed because I only put 8 litres of oil in the transmission and it takes 11, so it just didn't want to go anywhere. But once we sorted that out, we could move it in and out as much as we wanted. So no, finally got there. It moved under its own steam.